Hey guys, we are live. This is the first time ever that I've done a YouTube live video. Done it on Facebook a couple times, and this is the first time for YouTube. I've been doing videos here for a little bit. Originally, this channel was created for me. Then I started putting videos of David Seaman, and now I'm back to me putting videos. This is not David Seaman's channel. It never was. I was simply uploading his videos because he got banned off of YouTube, and I just put those on there complimentary as not even a favor to him, simply as a favor to the world. He didn't even realize I was doing it until I told him about it after about maybe a month or so. In any case, I want to talk about corruption at the highest levels in the world. Um, Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about COVID 19 and how the medical industry is pulling the wool over our eyes, and many people simply can't see it. Many people in my own family can't see it, and many people across the world simply refuse to believe it. Well, it doesn't matter if you want to refuse to believe it or not. What actually matters is that it's actually happening. A lot of people can understand criminal elements in local and the state level, but when it comes to federal level, when it comes to things like health organizations, when it comes to that kind of stuff, a lot of people just simply have a very tough time understanding, believing, and fathoming that they could actually be deceived and manipulated and essentially lied to by people who are basically put in positions to take care of your health. But that's exactly what's happening. Guys, you need to understand whenever there's money to be made, corruption will happen. I don't give a fuck if that's if it's someone ripping off cigarettes on or and selling them illegally, breaking into people's houses and selling them for stealing your laptop and your jewelry and selling it for money. I don't care if it's the pharmaceutical companies making any kind of pharmaceutical drug, even though they know it'll harm people, but they still offer it to the general population because they make billions of dollars at it. You need to understand money, like they say, is the root of all evil. Not everybody who makes money is evil, but anytime you find something going on in the world that's very large and large scale operations such as wars, it's all done for money. When the U.S. military goes into a place like Syria, Afghanistan, all this shit, they're not going there to help anybody except themselves. They're not even going there to help the American government. They're going there to help certain parasites in the American government, and the military is working on their behalf without them knowing about it. The biggest false flag operation would probably be September 11, 2001. And then after that, they invaded Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction against Saddam Hussein. There was no weapons of mass destruction. They admitted that later, and there never was any weapons of mass destruction. It was all bullshit. They needed an excuse that was basically built on the premise of a complete lie in order to attack that country. Then obviously they went into Libya and blah blah. But they went to so many different places. I don't want to get into all that stuff. That's basically that's recent history. Now what we're looking at is what's happening today. What we're involved in at this particular time that's affecting 7 billion people across our fucking planet. The coronavirus COVID-19 scamdemic, plandemic, created exclusively to manipulate, deceive, and trick us into there's a multitude of different reasons. There's a lot of different layers, a lot of different facets to why this is actually happening. One of the biggest ones, obviously, is money. Like I said, we were talking about corruption. Okay, so if you, all of this stuff comes from top down. It's like the pyramid, the all-seeing eye. It's a pyramid-built system. Regulations, rules, suggestions all come from the top down. In this particular situation, the top down of everything that we're witnessing is coming directly from the World Health Organization, the WHO, the WHO. These people are above countries. They're above presidents. They're above prime ministers, all that stuff. Obviously above mayors, premiers, and everything else. They are above everybody. This is an unelected uh, bureaucrats, I guess you could call them, and they are basically dictating health uh, health requirements, health suggestions in regards to COVID-19 across the world, not just here in Canada, not just in the United States or Europe or South America or Asia. This is worldwide. 7 billion people are impacted as a result of whatever the WHO says and and lies about in this particular situation. They're lying to us on many different levels and they have a very nefarious evil agenda planned for everybody. And we can see that already happening. First and foremost, well, not even foremost, but first, what they're doing, obviously, they've already crashed the economy for no reason. If you look at the death rate of that, it's about 250,000 people. Roughly 250,000 people have died as a result of COVID-19 worldwide. And if you think that's a large number, you're simply not paying attention. It might sound like a large number, but at the end of the day, out of 7 billion people, if 250,000 people have died as a result of this, unfortunately, it is not a large amount. There's 7 billion of us on planet Earth. If you look at recent years, the common flu has killed many more people, or even actually roughly the same or a little bit more than COVID-19. So now we're not looking at an epidemic. We're not looking at a pandemic. We're looking at a scamdemic and a plandemic. This is a scam that was planned. This is not a real thing. It's real up to a level. Yes, there is something to be aware of. Yes, there is something to worry about. But people like you, people like me, I'm almost 50 years old. I don't have anything to worry about. I'm healthy. I work out. I eat the right foods. You know, I'm not a 70-year-old male in a care home with 4 or 5 underlying issues. And please understand when I say this that it's not like I'm against those people. I feel sorry for those people who are in those issues. But the whole world should not have to suffer as a result of that small amount of people. There's an easy solution to this. I'm just a guy telling you how YouTube love on my fucking patio, and I have more brains. Well, it's not even more brains. I have more, not even more intuition. I'm telling you the truth compared to what you're hearing from your state and federal leaders all across the world. Why don't they just keep these older individuals in care homes and protect them? And I've said this in other videos. If you don't feel like going out, stay home as long as you fucking want. That's not the problem here. The big problem here is they lock down the whole world, and this is because of such a small amount of deaths. Most of those people who are dying, who have passed away, like I said, they're from care homes. So let's grab a clue and figure out that we should not be locking down the entire system as a result of this situation. What we should be doing is closing down the care homes. Those people in those care homes should be taken care of. There's no reason to close everything down for months on end. Here we are 9 weeks into the situation. Many people are unemployed. Many people have lost their jobs and so forth. Why? How many people have died in British Columbia? It's about 150 people out of 5,071,000. I live in British Columbia, Vancouver. And if you look at the stats, it's the same bullshit here. Most of the people who are dying are in care homes. These are older individuals. They have underlying issues. That's why they're in a fucking care home to begin with. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, maybe we should open up the economy and get everything going, not half-ass, not halfway, not worrying, not keeping everything closed as long as possible, creating a nightmare scenario. Does anyone think that a lot of people are going to die as a result of not being able to pay their mortgage, not being able to pay their rent or their property tax or feeding their families? Doesn't anyone think there's going to be a large amount of suicides as a result of that situation? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's something that a lot of people simply don't want to understand or don't want to look at. They just think, they look at the deaths and all of a sudden they have fear in their eyes. People driving around with fucking gloves on and they're wearing masks and shit. Do you realize that the amount of oxygen you're decreasing into your system is a large percentage? You're having a tougher time breathing, and some people have actually passed out, and one guy in particular crashed into a tree or whatever. So don't wear gloves. Don't wear a mask when you're fucking driving. It's a stupid thing to do. And I see so many people doing this. It's funny, but at the same time, it's so pathetic, and it's just ridiculous that people are falling for this whole situation. Hook, line, and sinker. Doesn't anyone research? We're on the internet. I'm actually broadcasting this online on the internet. So why don't you do everybody a favor and start researching stuff instead of like looking to your health officials for all the information. Your health officials are getting all their information from the World Health Organization. They're receiving the information directly from the top of the pyramid. The pyramid is funded by none other than Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is the one, he's all over the news talking about vaccines. Nothing can get back to normal until we get vaccines. Has Bill Gates ever heard about has he ever heard of an immune system? Does he understand that we all have immune systems that are built specifically to combat viruses, specifically to fight flus, fight colds, and all this stuff? Has Bill Gates ever thought about that? Obviously he has, but he wants to make a lot of money vaccinating 7 billion people. And he's gone on the news, even stated that the return on investment when it comes to vaccine manufacturing and in vaccine investment is 1 in 20. So every dollar you invest in vaccine funding, you'll get $20 back. Now, does anyone think that maybe Bill Gates wants everyone to get vaccinated because he wants to make a lot of fucking money? Does that make sense to anybody, or is it just me being a crazy conspiracy theorist? I'm just wondering if I'm off my rocker here thinking maybe he wants to make billions of dollars me at the stake of everybody else across the world. If everyone's staying home and staying safe, why don't you go outside? I'm outside here. I'm in the sun. I'm getting my vitamin D, and vitamin D is crucial in fighting the cold, in fighting the flu, in fighting all kinds of ailments. But for some reason, a lot of people simply can't see that. A lot of people simply don't understand that, and they just follow the directions of their health officials, who, once again, like I said, are getting their talking points directly from the World Health Organization. And like I said, Bill Gates is the one funding them. So if you look at this whole equation, who should we be pointing the finger at? Well, one of the people is basically Bill Gates. He's the one that's funding this whole thing. He's the one that wants to make a return on the investment. He's funding billions of dollars in vaccine development, and he wants to make that money back 20-fold. So if you want to be part of his experiment to vaccinate 7 billion people, the biggest medical experiment in world history, you guys can take my shot. You guys can go ahead and take my vaccine shot, because I'm not going to take it. My wife's not going to take it, and my kids aren't going to take it. But if you guys want to take an extra shot for me because you're too fucking stupid to see what's going on, please, please, please go ahead. And actually, I don't want you to take it. I don't want anyone to take it, because if you looked at movies like, or documentaries like Vaxxed, VAXXED, or Vaxxed 2, VAXXED, and the number 2 documentaries. The first one's available right here on YouTube. Look at that, and you'll see many different individuals that were injured from vaccines, such as the MMR shot, measles, mumps, and rubella shot. I don't know if Vax 1 has a Gardasil in it, but in Vax 2, I watched a couple days where they discussed and showed teenage girls who actually took the shot, and then they were paralyzed from, some were paralyzed from the waist down. One boy was paralyzed from the neck down, paraplegic. So these are real issues. So we're going to have the most amount of vaccine damaged people, not just children, in world history coming to you this year, probably as soon as these vaccines are being rolled out. And they've already started deploying them, and they're in experimental stage after just being created in 2 months. I don't know how they fast track these. These things they take like 10 fucking years to make, but all of a sudden, hey, we're fast tracked. We've got it ready for trials in 2 months, 60 days, and they're ready to go. Does anyone see there could be something sketchy going on here? I hope you guys can see, because if you can't, you're watching the wrong YouTube video, let me tell you. So, what do we do about this? Well, the only things we really can do is don't follow what they're telling us. Obviously, you're watching this video. You guys understand what the hell I'm saying, or else you wouldn't be following. You're one of the smart ones. We need more people to be smart like you and smart like me. A lot of people simply still can't see the big picture for whatever reason. Either they've inhaled too many chemtrails, or they've eaten too much junk food or too much McDonald's. But a lot of people still are clueless to the fact that this is a huge medical fraud, the biggest medical fraud we're probably ever going to see in our lifetimes. And it's coming down the pipeline very, very quickly here. And they're not saying it's mandatory here in British Columbia, but from the looks of it, we're not going to be able to fly. From the looks of it, probably our kids will not be able to go back to school, possibly without being vaccinated. Sure, they're still telling us it's not mandatory. Yeah, it's not mandatory, but you can't bring your kids back to school. It's not mandatory, but you can't. It's not mandatory, guys, but you can't get a government job. Hey, it's not mandatory, but you can't get on the bus. You can't take public transit. Hey, it's not mandatory, but you can't go watch a hockey game. You can't go to a concert until either you show your what do they call it, immunity passport, or your digital ID that will be instilled or embedded directly into the vaccine. So this is here now. Everything I've read about for years and years is pretty much weeks, months away, not years, I don't think. Very, very close. It's all here for everybody to see now. A lot of people are finally waking up and understanding, holy shit, this actually is real. And yes, it is real. We're in the middle of the biggest hoax in medical history, the biggest hoax in world history, and it's our duty to share this information everywhere. I'm not the kind of guy who goes on YouTube doing live videos. I've known about this stuff for years and years and years and years and years. 21 years since 1999. And but now I just feel it's time It's time to stand up. It's time to share information. We don't have to do anything hard. It's not like we have to go out and sharpen our swords and go into the battlefield and start killing our enemies. All we have to do is share information. It doesn't get any easier than that. And if you have people on your Facebook list that are going to block you or argue with you, hey, that's just the way it is. It's our duty to inform everybody. It's up to them what they do with the information, but it's our duty as fellow citizens of the world, fellow sisters, fellow brothers, wives, husbands, parents, grandparents, whoever the hell you are, co-workers, you have to share this information. It doesn't have to be my video, but share something. Start informing people. The more people that understand what the hell is going on right now, the quicker we can put an end to this ridiculous nonsense. This is so stupid. We should be able to stop this in seconds. Meanwhile, it's still coming down. It's coming towards us like a freight train that has no brakes. It's so stupid. It's pathetic. And honestly, I'm embarrassed to be a human being right now. How dumb people are reacting. And I don't really blame them. They've been misled, deceived, and manipulated their whole life, just like I have. It takes a lot. For some people, it just takes a lot to get them to understand that this whole thing is fake. You're being lied to from every level, and it doesn't mean your doctor's in on it. It doesn't mean the nurse is in on it, but they're just following orders. They're just following orders from people above them, the health officers, the health ministers, and the health ministers are getting it from the chief health officer here in Canada. Our chief health officer, Theresa Tam, is actually on the board of the World Health Organization. So when you start seeing all these different connections, you have to understand it's not your doctor, it's not your nurse, it's not your local hospital that are the people directly responsible for betraying you and lying to you. They're basically unwilling idiots because they're not paying attention. They're just trusting the people above them. And why wouldn't you? Who would ever fathom we're in a situation where basically you got an organization that's essentially above governments in one way because they're the World Health Organization. They're in charge of basically documenting and rolling out anything regarding health worldwide. Who would think that those people would be corrupt to the bone? Well, they are. Face it, that's just the way it is. If you don't believe me, hey, it's up to you. It's up to you if you don't want to believe me. It really is up to you. But this is the truth of the matter. And the sooner you understand it, none of this stuff is BS. The sooner you can prepare and understand that you shouldn't be taking the vaccines and pay attention to everything they're doing, because everything they're doing is to manipulate you, deceive you, and control you. Look at all the shit they're doing. They've closed down millions of businesses worldwide. Billions of people are basically on lockdown for what? Nothing more than the common flu. The death rate of this vaccine is like 0.0099 or some shit. It's ridiculously low. Their own models were heavily inflated, and now they're even looking at them saying, "Oh, we overestimated the amount of deaths that were going to happen because of that." So they're even admitting it from their fake numbers. So every way you look at it, if you look at it, because most people simply aren't looking at shit. They're watching their news in fear, and then if they got to go out, hey, let's go. Let's put my gloves on. Let's put my mask on. I better be safe. I don't want to die. Meanwhile, it's a 20-year-old guy or a 30-year-old girl driving in their cars by themselves. Like, wake the fuck up. What the hell is wrong with you? How are you not paying attention? Like, logic should tell you that you're not going to get the virus from yourself in your own fucking car, for God's sakes. Like, holy shit, where are people's common sense? I don't get it. It's just, to me, it's beyond just ridiculous. I don't even know the word. Stupid, pathetic. It's just, like I said before, I'm embarrassed to be a human being right now as to what's going on. We're being controlled by such a small amount of people, and everybody is falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker. We got to get street smart. We have to understand this is a scam being perpetrated against all of us. Yes, it sounds crazy, but it's coming from the World Health Organization, being funded by Bill Gates, originally created by the Rockefeller family. They're the ones who created the, what the hell is it called? The modern day world of medicine. That's why they don't want you to use herbs or any other thing. It's all about pharmaceutical drugs, synthetic drugs. Instead of the World Health Organization, instead of doctors giving you any kind of herbs and this and that, it's all about pharmaceutical drugs. Do you realize when doctors go to school, they only get about 4 to 6 hours of training regarding vaccinations, and all they're taught in that time frame is to discuss the schedule. They talk about the schedule, the schedule, the schedule. They are never taught about the ingredients in the vaccines. And in the MMR vaccines, they've never talked, they're never taught anything about this whatsoever. So these doctors know absolutely nothing about what's in these vaccines. The only way you learn about what's in the vaccines is by checking the inserts of the vaccines. Then they'll tell you the side effects, they'll tell you what's in the vaccines, and so on and so on. And these people have been lying to us for years. These are the same people, the corrupt medical industry, the vaccine industry, that tell us there's no correlation between autism and MMR shots. Are you fucking kidding me? That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. How stupid is that? Oh, it just comes from the air. Yeah. How is it that the amount of people who are getting autism now is like 1 in 40, 1 in 50? Before all these vaccines, it was like 1 in 1,000 or something. How does it jump like 10-fold, 20, 30-fold in a span of like 3 decades? Is our world that much more polluted now? Do you guys really fall for that? I guess you do. If you believe in global warming and all stuff, I guess you're going to believe that everyone's getting autism because they're breathing dirty air. Once again, it's up to you what you believe, but honestly, you have to get your head out of your ass and understand you're being played by everybody, not just your governments, not just by your health officials, but you're getting played from the mainstream media, and any type of official source at this point has been compromised, in my opinion. And if you want to call me a conspiracy theorist, in this day and age, honestly, that's a badge of honor. You know what that means? It means that I question things. It means that I read alternative facts. Yeah, people think, oh, you just listen to Alex Jones, this and that. You know what? I don't just listen to Alex Jones. That guy's a raving maniac at times, but he does have a lot of good points that he brings across. But he's definitely not the only person I listen to, and he's never been the only person I listen to. Just because he's gained popularity in the last few years as basically the most popular conspiracy theorist in the world, doesn't mean that every conspiracy theorist, as you call them, is following in the footsteps of Mr. Alex Jones. There's a lot of people who feel the same way. There's just so much evidence to point all this shit out. It's beyond ridiculous. Anyways, I had to get this off my chest. I've never done a Facebook Live before. Bottom line is this. There's corruption at the highest levels, like it or not. If you can believe in the New York Mafia, the Italian Mafia, hey, I'm Italian, there is a mafia. Until the 1960s, they actually denied there was even a mafia, if you can believe that. Yeah, it sounds kind of stupid now, doesn't it? But guess what? Down the road, they're going to be laughing at us that we deny that there was a corrupt government. They're going to laugh at us that we deny there was a corrupt World Health Organization. People are going to laugh at us denying that there were vaccine manufacturers that were corrupt. And people are going to laugh at us that we denied that there were actually pharmaceutical companies that were pulling our leg and jerking our chain. Guess what? It doesn't have to be criminals driving around in Cadillacs from Brooklyn, New York, that are criminals that have Italian backgrounds. Criminals come in all shapes and forms. Just because they're gangsters, big deal. Gangsters come in all forms. The biggest gangsters in the world are your governments. And if you understand the word government, govern means to control, and mind is in Latin meant. Govern meant control your mind. Government. Look it up. It's fucking Latin. That's all I'm going to say today. Get your heads out of your asses. Share this information. Thank you for watching. I know you guys are all on board. The guys watching this, I'd have to say to 99%, if you're subscribed to my channel, you know what the hell's going on. But everybody out there, brothers and sisters, share this information. Let's get the word out. I know it's tough sharing this stuff with our families and friends, but now is the time to do it. If there ever was a time to go out on a branch and say what you feel on public spaces online, this is the time. This is the time that we've all basically not been waiting for, but we knew that was coming. This is it now. We're in the eye of the storm. It's time to speak up, stand up, share information, post information, create information, get it all out there now. We need everybody on our side. We need everybody to understand the truth. Once they see this information, a large majority will be on board. Those people who don't believe it, leave them in the dust. It's their fault. You can't wake everybody up. You give the information. If they don't want to believe it, that's up to them. That's their choice, right? It's their choice. And it's just like our choice to believe this information. It's their choice not to believe. Everyone has a choice to just make the right choice. How do I turn this off now? Let me see here. Am I done here? I think I'm done. The hell?